Hello and welcome in, race fans, to tonight's event under the lights here in Atlanta, Georgia for the regular season finale of the All-American Racing League. It is race 14 of 24 on the season. Drivers are just now wrapping up their practice hour, and the results might be a little skewed because we had to reset the session just 5 or 10 minutes ago. But currently top of the board, it's Alex Fuller in the 45, that Scooby-Doo machine that you know I love out there on track. Drivers have a little less than 2 minutes before we jump on over into qualifying, and what will, of course, be a pretty unusual qualifying, I guess you could say, between this track, Daytona, and Talladega with these flat-out tracks. But tonight's race should be action-packed. We have a field of a little over 20 drivers as it sits, everyone looking for their last opportunity to make it in to the playoffs before they begin next week at, I believe, Darlington is where we're going up next. My favorite track on the schedule. No, Las Vegas and then Darlington in the next couple of weeks. So, got a fun first round shaping up in the next month or so for these drivers to take on. And everyone's going to be chasing the 38 car on into the playoffs. 4 wins on the season, a 5th if you count the All-Star Exhibition race. That 38 car has been on fire. The only driver who has won multiple races this season, and he's done it about 5 times, depending on which races you do and don't count. Everyone else who's won a race looking for even their second. Today will be a good opportunity for a number of drivers to go out there and get their first win, or some drivers who have won to go out there and make it happen on a second occasion. We've got a couple little packs driving around on track at the moment in the closing seconds here of practice, getting some last minute testing in with the altered setup in this new session and seeing what they can get away with in the draft. That is going to be the key in tonight's race. Not very often do we come to these drafting style tracks, but got to be ready for when they roll around because they are a unique challenge in and of themselves, as you can see right there coming across the front straightaway. But it looks like we should be ending practice momentarily. In top of the charts, it's going to be Alex Fuller, Jackson West, Joshua O'Brien. I wouldn't read too much into the practice times. We'll see what happens when we kick on over to qualifying and who can go out there and lay a great time. But even qualifying-wise, I wouldn't be too concerned if your favorite driver doesn't have a great showing out on qualifying. That is the beauty of these drafting tracks, is that you can make anything happen no matter where you start. Going to be a long night. Tonight we have a total of, let's see here. Tonight we have a total of, I had it pulled up, 130 laps in tonight's event. 2 stages, of course, lap 30, lap 65. That'll be what we're aiming for. Fuel shouldn't be a concern, but we'll see how it plays out in the first 2 stages. That is, we'll see if it's a nice, simple strategy or not. We are officially kicked over into qualifying. The sun has set, which means the track conditions are going to be just a little bit cooler. And we will watch as Caleb West in the 48 makes his way out on track. We'll stay on board with that orange and purple Camaro as he gets up to speed. And we'll see what he likes to do for his 2 qualifying laps here. One of the strategies in recent times here at these drafting tracks has often been to try and keep the tires as cool as you can as you get up to speed. So you'll see drivers crawling off of pit lane, intentionally going extremely slow until the last possible second when they can gun it and use the entire first lap just to get up to speed enough to make the second one count. But here in Echopark, here in Atlanta, you have the advantage, as you can see right here at the 48, of cutting down across the entire apron down there. That is not out of bounds in qualifying, nor is it out of bounds for making passes in the race. I do not believe. I'd have to double check with the race admins there, but it is certainly something these drivers have at their disposal here in qualifying. So we'll see Caleb West, I'm sure, cut across that one more time here at the end of lap number 1. Doesn't even hesitate. Going to go all the way down to the grass right there to set this first lap in that 48, and we'll start seeing some times jump up on the board. Drivers pretty spread out on when they're actually exiting the pits right here, so West was the first driver to complete that first lap by a margin. Cody Gibson comes in just a bit ahead, half a tenth. Tanner Marr comes in 3/10 down. Zachary Wake getting a time in there. So we'll jump around as these drivers get their times in there. 5 minutes for everyone to lay down their 2 laps. Let's see what Wes can do on the final lap right here across the line in that 48. Is lap 2 better? Yes, it is. It's going to be a 32.408. Cody Gibson with the reply in the 7 machine. That Flamin' Hot Cheetos card, it's going to take over the pole once again. Cody Gibson's going to go to the top, 32.278. Tanner Marr, teammate of the 7, comes across the line. Put that 4 machine up into P3 with that line right there. And now we've got a bunch more drivers coming in. Alex Fuller jumps to the top of the board in the 45 ahead of Jamie Walker in the 88. We're going to see what Brian Troy can do off of turn 4 for the final time, Coming to the line, gets a little loose. Little sideways. He's still going to jump up to P11 with that one. We got the 50 machine of Sammy Garcia out there all blacked out yet again. A couple updates. Dakota Moniz jumped up to P4. Joseph Klein up in P7. Some recent drivers to complete their laps in here. Let's see what Garcia can do across the line. As Nolan Mills goes P4, Sammy Garcia is going to go P6 on that attempt. Coming to the end of his run will be the 24 of Joshua O'Brien. Currently in 18th, going to finish that second lap, and that'll put the 24 P2 front row for O'Brien as Pavlik comes across the line. That 30 machine's going to go P8 on the board. Gabriel Ngoli in the 55 comes across to finish his second qualifying effort. It's going to be P18 for Gabriel Ngoli. We got Josh Kanata halfway down the backstretch on his second attempt right here. Let's see what that 16 machine can do. Started out the season with 2 consecutive poles, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see what Kanata can do right here. One of those was at Daytona, so we know he knows how to qualify here. He's going to come across the line. That 16 is going to go top of the board. Called it with that one, a 32.246. Josh Kanata and that Trevor Project Toyota Supra making it happen right there. We got Ron Holifield out on track in the 25. He should just have enough time to get both of his laps in. Looks like he's going to be the last one to do so. So we'll get to see what that Havoline machine can do. But as it sits, Josh Kanata provisionally on pole ahead of Alex Fuller, Joshua O'Brien, Jamie Walker, and Cody Gibson. The top 5 for our regular season finale start. Coming off of turn 4 right here for the 25. This is going to be the completion of lap number 1. Got another timed one to come. But on that first one, on the baseline, it'll be bottom of the charts. It'll be 22nd, and he's going to pull off. He's not even going to take the second lap. So there we go. Ron Holifield, P22, with that effort right there. Could have potentially been an intentional little bit of a drop-off right there to be 5/10 off of the race leader. Either way, looks like the field is going to be officially set with that. Drivers are just now getting ready to kick on over into the race as the session has just now come to a close. And Josh Kanata is going to put his Toyota ahead of 6 consecutive Chevrolets behind with that time right there. And we can officially pull up our starting grid for tonight's event, the 14th event of the season, the 14th event, points event, I should say, of the All-American Racing League. This is the first season of the AARL. Josh Kanata is going to come away with the pole in race 14 ahead of Alex Fuller in P2. Joshua O'Brien in 3rd place. Jamie Walker starts 4th. Cody Gibson in 5th. 6th place is going to go to Nolan Mills ahead of Ryan Rose in 7th. Samuel Garcia starts in 8th. Matthew Pavlik in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is going to be Dakota Moniz in P11. It's going to be Zachary Wake ahead of Tanner Marr in P12. Joseph Klein starts 13th. Jackson West in 14th. Caleb West in 15th ahead of 16th place Larry Bell. 17th goes to Rob Higgs Jr. 18th, Brian Troy. 19th, Gabriel Ngoli. 20th to Tilson Sandlin. 21st, Nicholas Sasek. And rounding out the field, it's going to be Ron Holifield and Sam Dyer in the 31 machine. That is our field of about 23. Couple notable names that have not made the trip out here to Echopark for tonight's event, one of which being the 38 of Chris Norris, the driver who everyone's had their eyes on. Everyone has been chasing for about half the season tonight. 38 not able to make it out here tonight. A couple other drivers not able to as well, needing to take some provisionals for tonight's race. And who knows, depending on how this turns out, they might be glad they did. These races at Echopark can go one of two ways. It's either going to be really exciting, or you're going to wish you hadn't shown up. Let's hope for the former of the two. It looks like everyone's gotten their way onto pit road, ready to get rolling right here. Got Barks on hand tonight. Usual co-host, Tom Richter, out in the chat. I do not have Barks on hand. No, I haven't had any Barks today. I have some in the fridge, but I decided not to crack any open. I think I had enough soda today. But I do have some water. Making healthy choices. Missing it up here in the booth for tonight's action, but we'll see what we can get up to up here, regardless. All right, field rolling off of pit road. 130 laps to remind everybody watching at home. 130 times around this 1.5 mile super speedway style racetrack. 2 stages, the end of lap 30, the end of lap 65. That's what we're looking for those stage breaks. And then after that, it is all the way to the finish. All this action under the lights here in Echopark. Gonna have high grip conditions. Always looks better under the lights, if you ask me as well, so should be a good one. Josh Kanata gonna lead us to the green alongside that Scooby-Doo machine. Alex Fuller on the outside. Row 2, Joshua O'Brien and Jamie Walker for the start of tonight's event. I wouldn't be surprised to see these 2 lanes just kind of stay pretty static here to start the race. We're gonna find out as the pace car pulls off. And for the first time tonight here in Atlanta, Georgia, the green flag is out, and the field makes their way up through the gears and to speed. Up in the front, it's Josh Kanata leading the charge from that pole position. He's got the 24 and the 7 in tow. 4th car on back, that's going to be the outside front row, Alex Fuller. He's going to drop down to that inside line as Cody Gibson jumps up to lead the outside now. A little bit of a switcheroo right there. First lap's going to be led by the 16 of Kanata as the field comes out of turn number 2 right now. And it looks like for the most part, drivers are pretty content to ride towards the bottom. There are 2 lanes formed right now, though the majority of the drivers are on the bottom, and those on the bottom aren't looking particularly keen on pushing each other all that much. Kind of just riding, getting into a rhythm at this point. It's a very long race, very early into this long race here, so very much a matter of survival for these drivers. Those on the outside, they're going to be fancying trying to get a little bit better track position before they put themselves in a spot where they just ride for a bit. And oh, we got contact as Kanata goes up to block the outside line to hold on to the race lead. He gets a bad bump from the 7. We were nearly 3 wide for a minute. We also nearly had the race leader wrecked in front of the field. Already getting a little dicey off of turn 4 on the inside. The 24 of O'Brien is going to lead at the line. Give that lap to the 24. As now Kanata leads that outside line. So interesting choice from the 16. Josh elects to give up the bottom line. He would rather go up and defend the outside line, even if it means the 24 leading the way on the inside is going to pull up alongside him. And you know what? I don't hate that strategy. You don't really see it too much out of drivers here on the iRacing Sim. A lot of them will prefer to just go down to the bottom as soon as they can, and once they're there, they will try their best to stay there. But if you're the race leader, you do have an interesting opportunity to go up there and block that outside line. And if I'm out there in these drafting races, that's what I tend to like to do, because the outside line is the one that moves. No matter if you're here, Daytona, Talladega, and we're 3 wide already. Multiple instances throughout the field. It is only lap 5, and somehow, some way, we're making it happen. Cody Gibson's going to dive out of it by the looks of it. I think that's where that started. Gibson was not happy with what he was seeing right there. Wanted to get out of the danger zone. As I tell you what, the drivers up towards the front, they are looking quite racy. There's some of these drivers who don't look like they're very keen on just riding around at the moment, so I wouldn't be surprised if things get just a little too hairy for some of these drivers who are falling towards the back. Cody Gibson, Jamie Walker, 2 teammates we can see just out of frame. They're jumping all the way to the rear of the field, which is another strategy you'll see a number of drivers doing throughout these races. They'll go back towards the back of the field, and they'll just kind of ride back here. They'll play it safe. They'll keep the entire field in eye ahead of them, make sure that they have enough distance to avoid any wrecks that happen up front. They got enough time to get slowed down. They're not going to be in the middle of it. And then wait a little bit later into the race. Usually the last 50 or so laps. That's when they'll start pushing for it, unless they really need stage points. But I tell you what, stage points will probably be pretty important tonight. This is the cutoff race into the playoffs. You're going to see a couple of drivers who are towards the cut line racing pretty hard to try and get every point they can. Stages are 30 and 65. You can see up at the top of the towers, we work lap 8 of 30 in stage number 1 at the moment. That 24 on the inside, Joshua O'Brien continues to lead the way as we are now 3 wide. Josh Kanata is going to get put in the middle, as up on the high side, the 5 of Joseph Klein fancies a shot. He's not going to get there, so Kanata covers off the line. We're back to 2x2 all the way through. But we do have a train of about 6 cars on the outside at this point. 6 is pretty formidable. That 24 is going to slide up the track a little bit. Did he fancy a block on the 16? Did not get there, if so. And another notable thing I'm seeing is the trio of teammates back here on the outside line. The 30, the 76, the 21, Pavlik, West, and Sasek. Those 3 running near identical green and black machines week in and week out. They've gotten themselves lined up on that outside line, seeing what they can try and do if they can't get towards the front. Have to keep an eye on that trio up front. O'Brien in the 24 clears once again through those corners. I can't tell if he's just driving up the track a little bit due to the handling, trying to keep the tires underneath him. That is something these drivers have to keep in mind here at this track over the course of a long run. I can't tell if it's that or if he's maybe thinking about blocking the run on the outside line, much like Kanata did earlier in the race. So far, though, I think it's worked out better for the 24. Kanata still leads that outside line after all this time, but that outside line hasn't done anything particularly meaningful. So about even. About dead even. Not good, not bad, as we see the 30 of Pavlik jump down to that inside line right there. Field's kind of getting bunched up. Both of these lines are, at this point, sort of just running all the way through the field, as those drivers in the back have all kind of brought themselves up towards the rear of the front runners right here, keeping themselves nicely in the draft, nicely in tow. Don't want to lose the draft, especially not here at Echopark Speedway. It's only 1.5 miles, and you're running at drafting race speed. It is very easy to go a lap down, or 2 or 3 if you lose the draft, and you are just a sitting duck out there on a much smaller racetrack than where you usually see this style of racing. From what I've seen so far, oh, okay, there we go. The 24 jumps up to the outside line. I was wondering, every single time through turns 1 and 2, that 24 has kind of dived up there and then cut back down. This time he does, but Kanata's going to send it 3 wide. The 16 says, nope, I want to lead this line. He's going to put it in the middle in a risky move for lap 13 out of 130. But Kanata's going to do it, and the 24 is going to have to tuck back in line. But I don't think you want to see that if you're Josh Kanata, as the 5 gets loose on entry into 1. That's Joseph Klein, great save right there. But if you're the 16 and you just left the 24 out to dry, and now he's the one on your bumper, well, you know you can't trust him because he can't trust you. So, not a great position to be in if you're Josh Kanata. Up front, though, Nolan Mills takes the opportunity. He jumps in front of the 16 to lead that outside line. Now, does that 16 send a 3 wide again, this time on Mills? He might fancy a shot as he looks to the outside right there. Mills leads at the line from the outside lane. Alex Fuller now in the Scooby-Doo machine. The first car on that inside lane right there. About halfway up the side of the race leader's car down the backstretch. You get a great view of it right there. Kanata all over the rear bumper of that one machine, pushing him for all he's worth. Wondering if he's going to try and get both of them clear and then maybe make a move for himself down to the inside. Remains to be seen. At the line this time, it will be Milnes again. But I tell you what, the intensity of all of these pushes up towards the front, it's ramping up big time as we're about halfway through stage number 1 already. I think there's been a couple of close calls coming out of turn 2 and through the tri-oval. Those two parts of the track in particular. We've definitely had some risky 3-wide moves up to this point. They've all worked out, but it's only a matter of time before one goes astray. You don't want to be the driver who initiates the move that takes out a bunch of others. So far, that outside line is working pretty good with the 1 out in front and the 16 in tow right behind him. You got to wonder how much more Josh Kanata can push the way he's pushing without that machine start to overheat. Just a little bit overheating, something that these drivers will all have to be conscious of throughout tonight's race if they are not leading the pack. So most everyone is, oh, we've got trouble behind. Ryan Rose right hooked into the wall. Oh my goodness. He's going to go around 3, 4, 5 times. And multiple other drivers involved. Brian Troy, Samuel Garcia. Oh my goodness. That was not a fun hit for the 78. I think this starts with Sandlin, if I'm not mistaken. Let's get another view of it right here. The 32 of Sandlin is going to drift out into the outside wall here on the tri-oval. That's going to send that 32 down into the 78, who's just going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And oh my gosh, Ryan Rose hits the wall at the worst possible angle in that 78. Sammy Garcia, wrong place, wrong time, gets hit, almost goes up and over. Brian Troy, nowhere to go. Cody Gibson in the 7. We talked about how he dropped back to avoid this very thing. He's going to get race-ending damage on the front nose, potentially. Close to it, if not. As he gets through there, Tanner Marr is going to get a hit on the 50 down the left side as well. We're going to get a couple different perspectives of this incident. But my, oh my, what a hit for Ryan Rose. Let's ride on board in the car with Ryan Rose on real time. Hope you don't get motion sick. That was not a fun ride. Not a fun ride to be in. Let's take a look at some other angles right here. We know Cody Gibson got involved. We can ride on the roof of the 7 machine as he sees this incident happen up ahead. There it is, that Cheetos machine not feeling too good after that hit right there. Number of drivers involved in this one. I would like to see another view of this from the 32 car. If we can go, let's see, let's go a little further back right here. And we'll ride with the 32 on board. You see, he just kind of followed the line ahead of him. Maybe one of the drivers was peeking out a little bit. He fancied peeking out as well, but it was at the worst part of the tri-oval. Couldn't get that car to angle itself correctly, and instead went into the outside wall. That just shot him into the field. Not what you want to see for the 78 of Ryan Rose, who has, I believe, parked that race car for the evening after getting that damage. The 27 has some terminal damage on pit road at the moment. We'll see if that 27 can get fixed up in time to get back out on track. I think Samuel Garcia's got hope. Still on the lead lap, working on getting some damage fixed. Same with Cody Gibson. Those two have some notable damage, but they should be okay to get back into the fold. We know Tanner Marr got a hit in that 4 car, and it looks like he's doing pretty okay. Is Tanner Marr. He's going to scrape through that one. All things considered, pretty good. I think the 4 car gets a little lucky right there because the hit that we saw towards the end of that incident right there could have been a lot worse. But here we go then. Lights are out on that pace car, and the field is doubling up one more time as stage number 1 has not come to a close yet. We're going to have a bit of a Bit of a shootout here of, I want to say, about 9 laps to the end of stage number 1, which will, of course, end on lap 30. First couple of rows going to consist of our race leader, Nolan Milnes, to the inside, Alex Fuller to the outside. Row 2 is going to be Josh Kanata and Josh O'Brien. Row 3 is going to be Caleb West and Zachary Wake to make up our first handful of rows in the field right here. So some interesting developments out on track early in stage number 1. I would say 2 drivers that are officially out of contention. You might need to make that 3, as I see the 50 of Sammy Garcia has gone a lap down, still on pit road getting damage fixed. So 2, potentially 3. Leaving us with 20 drivers out on track on the lead lap. Still fighting for everything here in the regular season finale. Final opportunity for these drivers to potentially win their way into the playoffs that start in 1 week's time when we head to Las Vegas. Pace cars off and into the restart zone for the second time tonight. This time Nolan Milnes on the lap pedal, going to bring us up to speed. Gets that inside line. A fantastic jump, going to bring the 16 of Josh Kanata along with him. The 48 of Caleb West as well, as we dive down into turns 1 and 2. Not looking good for the outside line until right about now. Alex Fuller looked like a sitting duck, but Joseph Klein jumps up there. He's going to push that 45 all the way down the back straightaway, and now all of a sudden that inside line might be hurting just a little bit. That top 2, Milnes and Kanata, they are kind of on an island right now with no help, but it looks like everyone behind, they're still going to be jockeying for position. Klein moves down to the inside from behind the 45 car. Now he jumps in front of the 45 car once he got clear. So that 5 car trying to make some moves, as Joseph Klein has not won a race yet here in the All-American Racing League. He's a driver who, in my opinion, is certainly capable of it. He's been in contention a handful of times up to this point in the season. Potentially views today as a great opportunity to go up there and make it happen just in time for the playoffs. But similarly, I think Alex Fuller and that Scooby-Doo machine very much in the same boat. Capable of winning races here in the All-American Racing League, has not found victory quite yet. Tonight could be a great opportunity for the 45. The 24 as well sits in that boat. There's a number of drivers who do it. Oh, we've got big trouble in the back. Ron Hollifield in the 25 has just about totaled that race car. You can see that front right tire is facing about 90 degrees to the left, and he is off the racing surface. We are still green at this point in time, but big issues right here for the 25. Let's see if we're gonna have to go back a little bit further right here. So let's ride with Ron Hollifield in the 25 for about a lap or so. Back towards the back of the field right here, just kind of running to the outside of Tanner Marr. These two are just behind the 88 of Jamie Walker. He's going to blink out a little bit and then just drift up into the wall. I wonder if that was a little bit of a technical issue for the 25, given where the blinks had happened right there on the racetrack. Potential technical issues for the 25, causing him to get some severe damage to the right front of that race car. He is officially, as it stands, I believe 2 laps down and about to be a third or so. That might take the 25 right out of it. That was some significant damage to the right front of that race car. Back up front, Alex Fuller leads that inside line, and Joseph Klein in the 5 car leads the outside line. That's how it shapes up. We're 2 by 2 by 2, about 5 rows deep as we sit with 4 laps to go in stage number 1. Klein in the 5 is going to dive down to the inside. Interesting choice. He's going to cover off the 45 of Fuller, potentially try and control both of these lanes at this point, to which Fuller in the 45 may also experiment with doing, because he's able to push Klein ahead and get both of those cars clear. And that would definitely benefit the 45 if he can push himself clear as well. He'll have the opportunity to jump up to that outside line. He'll have a lot of options right here behind the 5 of Klein, who could very well be a sitting duck by the end of it. We're going to see, but at the moment, he is race leader, taking away the laps at the line this time. It's going to be 2 remaining here in stage number 1. For Joseph Klein, 2 laps to go here. Caution at this point would bring us to the stage end. On that outside line, trying to make the run work. It's the 24 and the 39, Joshua O'Brien and Zachary Wake. Trying to get a run going. They just don't have enough help up there. The 48 and the 80 now joining in the fray. But is it too little, too late? We're going to find out off of turn 4 into the line. 1 lap to go in stage number 1. All the stage points up for grabs. And oh, we've got trouble behind. Oh my goodness, the 30, the 48, and the 21 involved. Another couple of race cars up and over just about. That 30 of Matthew Pavlik might have a little too much damage to continue on that race car. That will certainly bring an end to stage number 1. Now let's take a look. As we do, look at blimp view. We'll keep it in slow motion. I think this is going to start between the 30 and the 48. It does. Matthew Pavlik in the 30 just shoots up the racetrack into the 48 of Caleb West. Not clear. There is a car right there. Rob Higgs in the 80 doesn't really have anywhere to go at this point. He's just going to end up tagging the 48, sending those 2 up into that outside wall. And oh my goodness, the hit that all 3 of those drivers got, the 30 and the 48 into the outside wall, the 21 hit those guys at full speed, and I believe everyone else made their way through unscathed. But my oh my. My oh my, was that something? Let's take a look at the roof cam from the 30 of Matthew Pavlik. And let's take a look at Caleb West. Same camera angle. And one more time, I think we'll ride on board with Sasek in the 21. Yeah, nowhere to go. He just, you could hear Sasek getting out of the gas, slowing up on that outside line, just trying to hug the wall, stay away from it. And that just so happens to be where everyone wound up piling on into in that incident. Back on pit road, that 30 car is missing a rear bumper, missing a right front tire entirely. That is not going to be good for the 30. I'm showing terminal damage for both the 30 and the 48. They've both got that black and orange flag, which means they cannot go back on the racing surface until they get a certain amount of damage repaired. So they will be going a couple of laps down minimum, which brings our active car count more or less on the lead lap with a shot down to 17 already by the end of stage number 1. Sort of turned into a race of attrition, surviving the incidents even early on. Stage number 2, reminder, is going to be just a little bit longer as we're going to the end of 65 for this ensuing stage. Don't quote me on this, but I do believe, given the time of yellow, that Joseph Klein in the 5 did win stage number 1. Walked away with all of those bonus points. As for second on back, could not tell you. We'll have to see post-race, as we had some replays to get caught up on. But I do believe that 5 car who's in control of the race right now, gone on and off pit road in first place, retains that position. He'll be leading the way into stage number 2. One of my big questions here for stage number 2 is fuel. Is fuel going to come into play? Is that going to become something these drivers need to think about, going that little extra distance? I'm not sure what the number is on a full tank for these drivers out here tonight, but if not here in stage 2, certainly in stage 3, it'll become something that these drivers are juggling on their minds along with everything else. It's certainly the most challenging super speedway race, I think, on the schedule when you come out here to Echopark, given you actually have to manage the tires and be conscious of how hard you're pushing them. Not really the case when you're in this style of racing. It's pretty forgiving on the tires, but not so much at this racetrack with how tight the corners are. And I think as the surface wears out over the years, being it was just freshly remodeled this way, as it wears out over the years, it's going to become less and less of a drafting style track in the traditional sense, and it'll sort of morph into its own unique challenge, where you can probably only run flat out if you're on your own, and otherwise it's going to be a little too much of an ask. I'm excited to see how that plays out in 5 or 10 years' time. Lights are out on the pace car as it dives down on a pit road in control of the field. It's going to be Joseph Klein on the inside, Alex Fuller on the outside. We hit the restart zone yet again, and stage number 2 is underway here in race 14. So far, so good for both lanes. I really like what I'm seeing out of that outside line. We got 3 cars hooked up already. It's going to be Fuller, Milnes, and Kanata, those first 3 on that outside line. And notably, the 5 of Klein does not choose to block that run. He is going to have a little more help. Never mind. Jackson West of the 76 jumps out to the outside lane. So now those 3 drivers on the inside, Klein, O'Brien, and Wake, might be in a pickle. Jackson West dives back down to the inside. Gabriel Ngoli's there now as well. These races are always just one move away from looking entirely different than it did 5 seconds ago. And you've got those one move scenarios happening multiple times a lap from multiple drivers. Nearly impossible to keep up with in these drafting races, but one thing is for sure, that 5 of Joseph Klein has done a pretty good job since he got the race lead of maintaining his control up front, maintaining that track position through the end of stage 1 and the start of stage 2. And I tell you what, as well, to start stage 2, it doesn't look like the aggression has died down in any notable fashion. You do have some stragglers off the back of the field, but I think those are all drivers that have some form of damage and are therefore limited just a little bit on speed. I'm a little surprised to see the drivers up towards the front racing as hard as they are still here at the start of stage number 2. You're Gabriel Ngoli on back. I think you're doing your best to just kind of keep the car alive right now. Just ride your race. You know you're not really going to carve through that main pack like you'd want to. So as long as you're in the draft, you're doing all right. And I think that's what most of those drivers back there are keen on doing at the moment. Which really just kind of leaves us with this 10 or so car pack of drivers who refuse to take it easy in tonight's event. And gotta make it a little interesting. And I'm not complaining. Up here in the booth calling all of the action. I know when I'm at these drafting tracks and I'm fortunate enough to be behind the wheel, I'm usually one of the drivers who likes to keep it interesting and try and make moves all throughout the race, try and keep things just a little spicy. I'll turn for that time, and at the line, it's going to be lap 39 that we are working our way through at this point. Joseph Klein continues to lead this race from the inside line, ahead of Joshua O'Brien and Zachary Wake just behind. On the outside line, it's led by Alex Fuller. We've also got Nolan Milnes and Josh Kanata up in that row as well. So big pushes coming from the 1 of Milnes to the rear bumper of Alex Fuller in the 45. And now we can see the 5 has slid up the racetrack in front of the 45. He's going to get hit, and oh my goodness, down towards the infield grass. The 5 and the 24 goes spinning. Fortunately, it's just the 2 of them, and they don't hit anything else. Pretty much no damage for the both of them, but Joseph Klein in the 5 from the race lead is going to get hit. And I want to take a look right here and see if we can't get a good angle right here. The 5 slides up to block the run from the outside line. Here comes Alex Fuller in the 45. He's going to put a bump on the rear bumper of the 5 on corner exit. And I think it's just the right bump at the wrong time. And that's going to send the 5 down to the inside line. Unfortunately, Joshua O'Brien in the 24, innocent bystander. He's going to get collected as the 5 comes across his nose. But both of these drivers are able to get it corralled and get it in the right direction. The one concern I have is for the 5 of Klein. He does have that left rear quarter panel damage from that incident. Something to keep an eye on. Let's ride on board with the 45 of Alex Fuller in real time. Let's see how this bump played out. There we have it. Nearly wrecked just after the caution came out as well. Down the front straightaway. All right, then, as it sits, I think Joseph Klein and Joshua O'Brien, the 5 and the 24, both going to walk away feeling okay about what could have been a lot worse. And now I'm curious as to if I heard that engine shut off. I did hear that engine shut off for the 45 of Alex Fuller. He has got that engine shut off, trying to save some fuel, presumably. But he's letting a lot of cars go right now. I wonder if the 45... Oh, I tell you what. I think the 45 is claiming fault for that yellow flag incident. The 45 of Alex Fuller is serving that penalty, which will be an end of the longest line for this restart in EOL, if you will. Drivers found at fault for incidents will be sent to the back of the field by race control and serve that penalty right then and there. Not to be confused with claiming an incident, which happens in other leagues that we cover here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. 45 to the back for that bump. That's going to give the lead now to Zachary Wake in the 39 for the very first time this evening. Reminder that Zachary Wake was the race winner last time we came out here and did this style of racing at a drafting track. That 39 car knows how to get it done. Did so at Daytona, the very first race in the All-American Racing League for this season and for the league as a whole. Zachary Wake in control. Nolan Milnes on the outside in second place. Row 2 is going to be made up of Jackson West and Josh Kanata. Row 3 will be Gabriel Ngoli and Rob Higgs in reverse order. Lights are out on the pace car. We're getting ready to go back racing once again. There are 17 drivers on the lead lap, ending with Cody Gibson, who has continued to try and get some damage repaired where able. Number of drivers having already retired from the session due to damage caused from a number of incidents. As we wrap up our third caution, the pace car pulls off. We're going to head down towards the restart zone. Zachary Wake on the inside is going to take that green flag. It is off, and away we go. That outside line already at a disadvantage with fewer cars restarting out there. We'll see if that continues to fall apart through turns 1 and 2 right here. Often the case when there's not too much going on the outside lane. The inside gets broken up quite a bit right here, and that's going to allow a little bit of some tandem drafting going down the back straightaway. The inside line versus the outside line. And Nolan Milnes, with the help of Josh Kanata, is going to get clear. Maybe clear into turns 3 and 4 right there. Get pretty close into turn 3, coming off of 4 now and to the line. Does the outside line lead the way? Yes, they do. Not much of a line. It's only 2 drivers, but they're making it work versus that inside line, which is now formed up to about 6, 7, 8 drivers or more. But I think if you're anybody else in the field and you're seeing just how well the 1 and the 16 are managing to keep themselves up in the conversation from that outside line, you got to be thinking you might fancy jumping up there, even if it's not something you'd normally do. Between the drivers who are up there making it work and the fact that it can work at all, might just need to take that opportunity. Ooh, I think I seen the 1 get a little bit loose out of the corner right there as the 16 got pretty close to that rear bumper, packed that air on the rear spoiler of that 1 Camaro. And that's going to be something that you'll see happen to these drivers as well, here or otherwise. Closer you get to the rear bumper of the driver in front through a corner, can have some silly effects on that race car ahead of you. Driver we haven't really talked about too much in tonight's event, the 05 of Dakota Moniz, has made his way up into the conversation. 3rd car on that outside lane, heading forward at this point in the race, which I find to be a pretty interesting time for the 05 to try and move forward here about halfway through stage number 2. But perhaps put in a boat where he needs to get every stage point that he can. Trying an unorthodox strategy to do so. Man, that outside line is not gotten broken up once. That duo of Nolan Milnes, Josh Kanata, they have been inseparable, and the pushes from the 16 to the 1 have been extremely difficult for that inside line to overcome. Which is keeping that outside line really competitive and allowing anyone else who wants to use it to pull up to the rear bumper of those 2. And then wait for an opportunity to jump down to the inside line. That seems to be what's going on. Into turn 3 right here. I thought Milnes was going to dive down to the inside. No, stays with Kanata. This corner right here. You can see the car is starting to get a little squirrely right here. That's usually how you can tell that the tire wear is starting to be felt. Driving around this track in Atlanta, you don't really know until you know when it comes to that tire fall off, and when you got to start thinking about it, when you got to start being careful about drifting up the track. Hard to predict. You're not quite going to know when it's going to happen, but you'll know once it has, and it becomes a matter of monitoring them and preferably not being on the inside line. At least if you ask me. Another driver up here towards the front is Tilson Sandlin in that 32. Going to be the 3rd car on the outside lane. As we're going to get some big pushes involving the 32 down the back straightaway as well. So some interesting things going on pushing wise in the All-American Racing League, and just drivers getting antsy in general. We're sitting at lap 21 of 35 here in stage number 2. Overall, it's going to be lap number 51. As now that inside line's getting a really good run, and that is going to be Zachary Wake in the 39 getting that push from Jackson West in the 76. They're going to pull about dead even at this point, and now we've got 2 equally competitive lines, multiple rows deep. Cross the line for lap 52 that time by. Will it play out like this, or will there be some moves made to shake up the running order? Got a 3rd lane starting to form with the 24 of O'Brien, the 5 of Klein, the 45 of Fuller potentially. As it is getting oh so dicey through the tri-oval. They get it figured out somehow, some way. We're back to only 2 wide action. We've already seen one incident as a result of how tricky that tri-oval area can be. Certainly don't need another. Out of 4 into the line this time. The outside line, Nolan Milnes has the advantage. And it seems like the 16 and the 1, so long as those 2 are linked up, it seems like no matter what lane they're in, they can sort of just make it work. climbing the 5, losing a lot of speed down into turn 1, potentially an intentional move to get himself further back. These lanes running about dead even, 4 cars deep at this point. A lot of drivers have committed to that inside line. I say that, and now there's a couple diving out to the outside. But to the point I was trying to make, number of drivers staying with that inside line, which could mean 2 things to me. Number 1, could just be that preference of that inside line, which tends to be the thing. Especially here in the iRacing community when it comes to these drafting style racetracks. As it looks like there's a lap down car just a little ahead. That's going to be Cody Gibson without a hood on that race car. Has been hanging on for dear life, trying to get as many cautions as he can to get that machine fixed up. Not so fortunate tonight. Though one of them was well timed, I will say that. This time at the line, it's going to be Wake in the 39, ever so slightly. And I'm starting to wonder if any of these drivers will be the one to force a move 3 wide. I know there's a couple of drivers who are capable of it and have the mentality for it. But not everyone's going to be in that boat. There's going to be a number of drivers who are happy to just keep 2x2 all the way through, not try to force the issue, not try to risk it too much. Especially here at Echopark, where it is increasingly difficult to run in a 3-wide pack while up to speed drafting. Quick little update on the drivers who have had issues in tonight's event. There are 15 drivers on the lead lap. Nicholas Sasic is 1 lap down. Cody Gibson looks to be 2 laps, or excuse me, I was reading the wrong line. Nicholas Sasic is on the lead lap. Cody Gibson is 1 lap down after being caught by the field right there. Sammy Garcia is sitting at about 5 laps down, I do believe. And then you've got Pavlik, West, Hollifield, Troy, and Rose all out of this race with the damage that they have received. We work 5 laps to go here in stage number 2. It is heating up, and on that outside line, it's the same as it has been. Really, you could say that for the inside line as well. It is just a battle of these 2 tandems right here. The rest of the field might end up having a say, but for the most part, it's been coming down to these 4 just about every lap up to this point. Out of turn 4 and turn 2, excuse me, down the back straightaway with 4 laps to go in stage number 2. These lanes are both equally formed up. We're about 5 cars deep in each one as the 80 gets drifting up the racetrack just a little bit. Everyone's going to survive it there through 3 and 4. The usual tricky tri-oval section of the track. And now with 3 to go, Milnes is clear on the outside. Does he take the run and block off the momentum down below? I don't think he's going to. He's going to elect to stay with the 16 of Canada. But now we got a 3-wide opportunity, as that outside line might get broken up. No, they're going to be pulled back in, as it looked like a handful of them were willing to go to the outside right here. 2 laps to go in stage number 2. As long as they don't get sent 3 wide, Milnes and Kanata looking pretty good to get the job done here. But Zachary Wake in that 39, he's not going to be going anywhere. On that inside line, Dakota Moniz in the 05. They've got a good shot across the line. It's going to be one more time here in stage number 2. Who makes the move? When is the move? And what is the move as we come out of turn number 2? This time, Kanata's going to give a big push to the one of Milnes. Milnes gets clear. Down the back straightaway and into turn 3. Does Milnes block that inside line? No. Milnes does not. As Kanata looked to the outside, has to dive back in the line, coming off a 4 into the line. It is very, very close right there between Nolan Milnes and Zachary Wake. We'll see where the caution puts all of these drivers for an unofficial result of stage number 2, ending under green as opposed to the first one earlier on in the night. Seems to me like Nolan Milnes is going to be the driver with the honor of winning stage number 2 and leading the way. Zachary Wake in P2, Dakota Moniz, Josh Kanata, and Jackson West, the top 5 out of stage number 2. Rob Higgs, Gabriel Ngoli, Joshua O'Brien, Joseph Klein, and Alex Fuller, the top 10. 4 stage points here in race number 14. Pace car has caught the field, and with that, the field prepares to make what could be their final yellow flag pit stops of the evening. This is their final scheduled stage break of the evening. So an important pit stop sequence coming up for all of these drivers. You won't miss a beat. We are going to head on over to a commercial break. In the meantime, we'll get back for the racing action. You'll see all the pit stops live here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. All right, field has made their pit stops here at the end of stage number 2 as we are getting ready to head to the conclusion of this race. Lap 130 is going to be the end of tonight's event. 1-3-0. We make it through stage 2 a little calmer than what we did in stage number 1 as we find ourselves with 17 drivers on the lead lap. It looks like the lights are going to be put out on the pace car one additional lap to figure some things out. Take a look at some of these drivers who have had some issues up to this point Cody Gibson bringing it back down pit road, slowly trying to get any last bits of damage fixed that he possibly can. Sasek in the 21's got some significant front-end damage. Still in need of fixing. And anyone else with damage beyond that is pretty much parked the race car, with the damage being bad enough to do so. We're going to go around one additional time under yellow behind the base car here. And then as we get ready to restart, here's what your running order is going to look like. That front row on this restart, it's going to be Nolan Milnes, Zachary Wake. Milnes in control of the race. Row 2 is going to be Josh Kanata, Dakota Moniz. Row 3, Jackson West, Gabriel Ngoli. Top 6 in the running order. And now for stage 3, these drivers can't rule out the possibility of a green flag pit sequence to be had before the race is done. If it were to go green from here all the way to the end at lap 130, you would certainly need to come down under green to make it on fuel. Going to be a pretty evenly split run. We know these drivers can do about 35 laps on fuel minimum. Right now it is lap 70. They can get to about 100 and then get to the end at 130 with a couple of 30-lap runs, no problem. So one more pit stop to the end for all of these drivers should be the hand that everyone has been dealt, depending on if and when we get our 5th caution of the evening. Into the restart zone we go. In the meantime, Nolan Milnes on the inside is going to hit that loud pedal and bring us up to speed for stage number 3. Across the line for the first time in stage 3, Nolan Milnes in control of this race. Josh Kanata runs in P2 in a 2-car breakaway, maybe 3, as Zachary Wake in the 39 tries to join alongside. There are 2 drivers on that outside line. Alex Fuller and Dakota Moniz make it 3 as Joseph Klein jumps out in dramatic fashion to become the 3rd driver in that higher line, riding around that middle lane of the racetrack, trying to bring their charge up to the race leaders. And at the line that time, Fuller nearly got there, but I think it still went to Nolan Milnes. Officially as per timing and scoring, as we are going to be 3 wide down the back straight away. All take, no give, as the 5 of Joseph Klein elects to take that opportunity to leave Dakota Moniz to fend for himself, as the 5 moves himself up onto the rear bumper of Alex Fuller to try and push him to the race lead. Though that 1 and 16 duo that have worked so well together in stage number 2 are hooked up here at the start of stage number 3, which has got to be a dangerous thought for the rest of this field, given what we have seen a glimpse of up to this point. I don't think we're done having incidents through the tri-oval section of the racetrack, given how antsy these race cars seem to be driving through that tri-oval up at speed and nose to tail with everyone else. out of turn 4 and into the line. It is going to be 55 laps to go in tonight's event. We now have 2 lanes that are about dead even in a dead heat. Riding around here in middle lane and bottom lane. Alex Fuller and Nolan Milnes, the 2 in front of the field. Down in the turn 3. And I can't really tell at this point, trying to kind of get a gauge on how these drivers are running, on what the body language of the race cars is telling me, if you will. And it's kind of a mixed signals right now. I don't know if this is maximum aggression from a number of these drivers, if they're just feeling content to ride, if they're kind of somewhere in the middle, which I can very much see being the case at this point with 54 laps to go in the event as a whole. You can still wait a little longer if you're trying to run the safe strategy and avoid all the incidents. And the smaller the field size, the more opportunity you have as well, of course. And in tonight's event, losing as many drivers early on as we did, well, that'll certainly play into that. Looks like that outside line's starting to dissipate in a big way. They're down to 4 drivers, and for as much as they're trying, they can't make it work, as Kanata feigned slipping up there ahead of Alex Fuller. Did not pan out. Whether or not he was legitimately trying to or not remains to be seen, as now that outside line gets the help from that 5 machine of Joseph Klein, who has been all over making the moves here tonight in Echopark. .51 laps to go at the line for our race leader, Nolan Milnes, being pushed along by Josh Kanata in the 16. One more pit stop expected for the entire field to be able to make it to the end of this race. I would venture to say that the pit window will probably open around lap 90 to 95. We know these drivers can go about 35 laps on fuel given stage 2. How much more than 35 laps can they go? I have no idea. But at the very least, 90 to 95 should be the pit window. That's in total lap count, so in about 10 or so laps. That would be how you split, or I guess that would be how you get yourself in there at the first possible opportunity to make it to the end on that fuel. I'm sure a number of these drivers are actually going to do the opposite, where they kind of push it as far as they can now and have a shorter run towards the end, but that way they keep themselves out here and on the lead lap in case a yellow flies. Because if a yellow comes out after you made your green flag pit stop here at Echopark, that very well may ruin your race, getting caught a lap down in that scenario. At the moment, there's only 2 drivers nose to tail up at the front of that outside lane, Alex Fuller, Joseph Klein. Those 2 have been keen on running that outside line pretty much the entire race up to this point. But now that it has started to completely fall apart, Nolan Milnes, Josh Kanata, that little duo up front, doing away with everybody else time and time again. Zachary Wake in the 39 on that inside. He's the 3rd car down there. He's kind of joining in on that fun as well, as Kanata kind of peaked his race car up the racetrack right there in front of the 45 of Fuller. I thought he was going to start leading that outside line, but maybe it was just to kind of stall their momentum a little bit and defend that outside line from that charge, as the lap down race car of Cody Gibson gets out of the way on the outside. You can see no hood on that race car. As much as he's tried to get that damage fixed, it is not having any of it up to this point. 46 laps to go at the line, and of our front runners, the top 4, the top 3, when Zachary Wake was ahead, have all won a race in the All-American Racing League, and then you've got a pocket of hungry drivers just behind. Alex Fuller has not won a race. Joseph Klein has not won a race. Gabriel Ngoli, Joshua O'Brien, Jackson West have not won a race here in the All-American Racing League. There are a number of drivers up towards the front right now who are hungry to get that first win, hungry to break through and make it happen. And they got to get through those three leading the inside line, those three drivers who have been there, who have done it. Milnes, Kanata, and Wake. That is the challenge beset for these drivers out here tonight. At the line, 44 laps to go in tonight's event. Don't blink or you'll miss it. This one's been going by pretty quick, all things considered. As Nolan Milnes continues to tick off the laps led. All right then, lap down car, the 21, gonna stay on the inside. That's Nicholas Sasek. Gonna do his best to stay out of the way, and it looks like everyone's gonna make it through unharmed. But with that, that outside line has deteriorated. It is gone. Just like that. Fast as you can blink an eye. Now, Alex Fuller's not giving up on it. I'll tell you what. That Scooby-Doo machine has been completely hooked around that outside line. Not willing to give it up for the world. And it might just pay off for Fuller in that 45 one of these times. Definitely got to respect the commitment to running that lane and trying to make it work, no matter what. All right, pit window is getting ready to open in only a number of laps. I don't know how many of these drivers we can realistically expect to see come down right when the pit window opens, though. But if a caution were to come out at this point, it puts us in the window where everyone would come down for fuel. And even if they can't make it, they would be close enough that everyone would start saving that fuel to get to their number, because it would be close enough to make it happen. On another hand, I do feel as though most of this lead pack has gotten themselves single file for the express purpose of green flag pit stops. You don't want to be caught on the outside lane if you need to come down for your pit stop. You got to make sure that you plan that out ahead of time. Make sure that you can be let in to line on the bottom so you're not cutting across live traffic to make your pit stop. I tell you what, that three-car trio, very scrappy, staying with the race leaders, trying everything they can to make this work. Laps to go that time at the line. Nolan Milnes, Josh Kanata, and Zachary Wake, our top three in the running order. Lap 93 of 130. The question looming now is, when do green flag pits begin? Who bites the bullet? Do we get half of the field at once? Tell you what, this would be a great opportunity to jump on board with some of these drivers and just get a look around the track with some shots from on board. some of these drivers in the pack. Ooh, risky push down through the tri-oval right there. And we caught it from on board the one machine. That push from the 16 could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was oh so close to being just that. As that outside lane has gone themselves formed back up. So I thought the entire field was getting ready for those green flag pit stops, single filing them themselves out. But no. A lot of these drivers fancying getting up on that outside line right here is, oh my goodness, Jackson West flying out to that outside wall, makes sure to keep it out of that wall and keep that car in contention here. As the 5 of Joseph Klein. I tell you what, some of the moves that we have seen out of that 5 machine tonight have been clench-worthy at best. Oh my goodness. Making it work, though. Making it work for certain is the 5 of Joseph Klein. As Nolan Mills and that 16. Oh, my goodness. Those two are flirting with disaster down the front straightaway right there. The 1 and the 16 the past couple of laps. My, oh, my, between those two. Alex Fuller still on that outside line doing everything he can to make that work with help from Joshua O'Brien in the 24, just behind. We are sitting at lap 100 this time around. 31 laps to go in tonight's event. We are in the fuel window to make it to the end. Nobody electing to come down at this point. These drivers are going to try and stretch it out and not get caught a lap down when the yellow flies, if and when the yellow flies, I should say. These drivers are probably going to be running their tanks effectively dry. As, oh, we might have issues. Rob Higgs. Oh my goodness, through turns 3 and 4, and it might not be over yet through the tri-oval. We are about to split the pack because these guys have officially lost the draft with this right here. And my, oh my, that was a sketchy one. Let's take a look in real time here at what happens to the 80 of Rob Higgs that ends up splitting this lead pack. And what could have been, wow, Rob Higgs just gets loose on entry. Tanner Marr gets a piece of that up into the wall. Great save by these drivers. The 32 just keeps it out of these guys, and they all keep it going. No harm, no foul, but man, that was sketchy. And could have been a lot worse. And wow, we've got a race car in the outside wall. We've got Tilson Sandlin in the outside wall coming out of turn 2 right there. And what looks to be a pretty minor incident, but this is back in the second pack. And these drivers are 3 wide at one point as well. So many things to keep our eyes on. Looks like Cody Gibson finally got a brand new front end. And this front pack, they have single filed out. They have single filed out, making their way through some lap traffic at the moment. Number of damaged race cars out there making laps, trying to earn some points. And now into turn number 1 with 27 laps to go. We still await the final pit stop for the entire field. Out of all of our lead lap drivers, nobody is good to make it to the finish without pitting for fuel. How far into the run are these drivers going to take it? What is the call when they come down? Are they going to have help when they come down? You do not want to lose the draft. You have got to make sure that when you come down on pit road, it is not alone. Get some shots right here. So it looks like that second pack has been allowed to catch back up to the lead pack right here. That's going to turn it all into one big pack yet again, as it's getting a little up in the air, a little dicey potentially. We have a number of lap down race cars who have gotten up to speed here with this pack. Now that they've been absorbed, I'm looking at the 50, I'm looking at the 7. Those are two drivers on the outside line right there that are not on the lead lap, but will be up in the mix right here, potentially. Potentially causing issues for some, maybe a benefit for others. 2 more cars to have in the draft. And I tell you what, Joshua O'Brien in that 24, single-handedly making that outside lane work. And finds a spot to blend in as the caution comes out. Trouble for the 31 of Sam Dyer. And that will answer our pit stop question. Let's find out what happened to old Sam. Oh, this happens up ahead. This is the 50 into the 4. Sam Dyer ends up being one of the cars that gets around right here. But this is actually going to be with Tanner Marr here. And I think this is a bit of a stack up. Let's get a look from this angle right here. This starts with the 45, the 55, and the 76. Those 3 are going to stack up into turn 1. The 05 is reacting to that. The 4 is already on his rear bumper. The 4 slows up. The 50 doesn't have time. And boom, that's where the accordion effect is going to compound and kind of hit its apex, if you will. The 4 gets sideways. Sam Dyer goes along for the ride, ends up sideways. But Tanner Marr getting sideways in front of the field would be the one that brought out the yellow. And with that, the entire field looks to make their way down onto pit road. This will be the money stop. Track position up for grabs. Track position with what will be about 20 laps remaining in tonight's event. Big questions, big pit stop. Do not speed, do not get a penalty. Make it count. But what's the call? Do drivers take 4 tires? Does anyone take 2? Is it just a splash for some drivers? How risky are you feeling for that track position? Tires are still important here at Echopark. What is the call for these drivers? Oh, I tell you what, we've got some spicy calls going on pit road right here. Nolan Milnes let us in. Nolan Milnes will lead us out, taking only 2 tires. Zachary Wake with 2 tires. Joseph Klein with 2 tires. Alex Fuller, 2 tires. Josh Kanata, 4 on back. Josh Kanata, Josh O'Brien, Gabriel Ngoli, Jackson West, Dakota Moniz, Jamie Walker, and so on all take 4 tires. But the top 4 in the running order electing to take 2 tires for the track position. So Nolan Milnes from the race lead elects to protect the race lead by taking 2 tires. Doesn't gain anything from that other than holding the lead. Zachary Wake takes 2 tires. Joseph Klein, Alex Fuller, 4 names who have been in contention pretty much from the drop of the green flag out here tonight. And then the first driver on 4 fresh Goodyears is going to be Josh Kanata in that 16 machine, looking for his first win in the All-American Racing League since Charlotte much earlier in the season. His one and only. But up ahead of him, he's got a couple of drivers looking for their first. Alex Fuller and that Scooby-Doo machine hasn't done it yet. Is tonight the night for that 45? You know I'll be celebrating My favorite paint scheme in victory lane. We've got the 5 of Joseph Klein, still looking to get it done as well. Capable of winning here in the All-American Racing League. And on the front row, we've got 2 previous winners. We've got our season opener winner at Daytona, Zachary Wake in the 39. We got Nolan Mills up here recently finding victory lane for the very first time, finally breaking through. Gotten to a point where many people were wondering when it would finally happen for driver number 1. So here's how it's going to shake out. We are going to restart with more or less 20 laps to go in tonight's event. Drivers are good to make it to the end on fuel. It is no longer a concern. We have a mix of tire strategies. The top 4 drivers, the top 2 rows, took 2 tires. Everyone else is on 4. And that will come into play here at Echopark. Maybe not as much as your traditional oval races, but it will come into play to some degree with the handling of these race cars. Your race leader is Nolan Mills on the outside of row number 1. Putting Zachary Wake on the inside. Row 2 is going to be Joseph Klein on the inside, Alex Fuller on the outside. Row 3, Josh Kanata and Joshua O'Brien. As the pace car pulls off, we head down into the restart zone for the 5th time this evening. The green flag is out. Nolan Mills from the outside, going to hit that loud pedal and bring the field up to speed as we have 20 laps to go in the regular season finale. All right, that inside line has formed up. 2 drivers stuck on the outside. Oh, but now all of a sudden it's 4 and maybe even more down the back straightaway. Some big pushes coming from behind as Nolan Mills defends the outside. Alex Fuller looking to push, maybe looking to take it 3 wide. We'll see how this plays out. But to the race lead goes Zachary Wake in the 39 with help from Joseph Klein in the 5. Down into turn 1 now. The top 2 might just get clear. Jackson West in the 76 going to pull up to the back of Joseph Klein. 3rd car on the inside line as we are maybe 3 wide a little further back in the pack. Drivers all jostling for position, trying to get to where they need to get. There is less than 19 laps to go in this event. It is go time. You have got to find your way to the front, and you have got to do it now, but watch out, because I don't think we're done with the incidents yet. It is getting dicey up towards the front. That outside line is going to get a big run down the back straightaway. Zachary Wake elects to stay on the inside. Nolan Mills is going to pull up about even down into turn 3 right here. Going to need the help from the 45 through and out of turn number 4. Going to try and get that push through the tri-oval to clear the 1. He is going to lead at the lap. That time by for the 1 of Mills. Now, keep in mind that outside line is better for the handling of the race car. If you're stuck on that inside line, you're taking a tighter line, I suppose, all the way around the racetrack. And here, with how sharp these corners are for a super speedway style race, that adds up on the tires, especially for one of the drivers who only took 2 tires. That inside line might turn into a disadvantage if you have to start lifting on corner entry just to keep that car sticking down in that inside line so you don't fly up into anyone just to your outside and cause a big wreck. Something to keep in mind, as it looks like we are 3 wide with Dakota Moniz in that 3rd lane sole driver. Going to tuck back into line right here. And that outside line, I tell you what, that outside line is looking even better, even more well-formed than that inside lane at this point. Scary omen for the drivers down on the inside. They are going to finally get a little bit more help now in the 31 and the 50 at the tail end. But down the back straightaway, you can see how well that outside line is doing. It's not going to help that Dakota Moniz in the 05 has other plans, and Josh Kanata says, you know what, I like that plan. Thank you very much. Let's do it. They're both going to get in the outside wall. Alex Fuller says, I like that plan. He's going to go to the outside of Nolan Mills, and we are 3 wide down into turn number 1. Oh my goodness, the entire field just about 3 wide at Atlanta for the first time tonight. 14 laps to go. How well can these drivers maintain the aggression that they are racing at? Zachary Wake in control of the field. Nolan Mills from that middle lane with the help of Joshua O'Brien, going to pull up alongside at the line. The one car is going to lead. There's a couple risky pushes through the tri-oval. Jackson West now bottom 3 wide down into turn number 1. We're beating and banging multiple rows deep. Goalie in the 55 caught in the middle. That is going to even out, and all of a sudden we are now back to 2x2 all the way through. But that is not going to be the end of 3 wide, and oh, we've got trouble. Rob Higgs in the 80. Oh my goodness, Jamie Walker into the back of Larry Bell. And that will be the caution. It hadn't come out before then, but that will do it. Teammate on teammate crash in the midst of chaos. And we are going to need to see what happens here. So there goes the 80 off of the front bumper of Sam Garcia. Now, there is no yellow here. Larry Bell straightens out the 80 of Rob Higgs. Amazingly so. The problem comes in the form of Jamie Walker, who did not get the memo right here, and we will jump on board with the 88 of Jamie Walker to see exactly what Jamie saw right here, but that is going to be what brings out the yellow right there. The 88 and the 43. Hard contact with one another. Jamie Walker, let's jump on board. I think Jamie was just a little asleep at the wheel. Let's go back a little further. Riding in car with the 88. Not too sure. Can't say. Can't say for sure from the 88 of Jamie Walker. But it looks like maybe just caught asleep at the wheel for just a moment, enough to end up plowing into the back of Larry Bell in that momentary checkup just ahead. That puts us under caution for the 6th time tonight. Nolan Mills continues to lead this race ahead of Zachary Wake. There is going to be less than 10 laps remaining in the race by the time this yellow flag comes to an end. Drivers are already good to make it on fuel. 2 drivers are going to get enough damage to be out of contention from that yellow. That brings us to 13 drivers remaining on the lead lap. 13 drivers with a shot to go out and make it happen tonight. Of those drivers, I'm going to run you through the race order and let you know what is what with these drivers. Nolan Mills has won a race this season in the All-American Racing League. He is in the playoffs, as is Zachary Wake in the 39, has won a race. Joshua O'Brien in the 24 is going to be the first driver who has yet to reach victory lane. That 24 machine has been strong week in and week out, looking for his first career win. Joseph Klein looking for his first career win. Not yet a lock, not yet having found a checkered flag. Alex Fuller in the 45, same boat. That Scooby-Doo machine has been up there time and time again. Has not gotten it done as of yet. Jackson West in the 76 has not had the opportunity to fight for a race win up to this point. Tilson Sandlin, I believe a newcomer to the All-American Racing League, up here with his first opportunity to go out there and get a win. Gabriel Ngoli has not been able to get a win yet as well in the 55. Tanner Marr, one of the league admins, yet to find victory lane in the All-American Racing League. Dakota Moniz, another driver who could use their first career win. So in the top 10, a number of drivers looking for their first win. Everyone except the top 2. Lots on the line right here. Lots of potential for a first-time winner here in the All-American Racing League. If it isn't one of those top 2, if it isn't Mills or Wake, we'll be talking to a brand new winner. If it isn't Mills, Wake, or Kanata, everybody else on the lead lap looking for their first career win. There's a statistic for you. Lights are out on the pace car. We're going to get restarted for the 6th time this evening. And in control, it's Nolan Mills on the outside lane for the 2nd restart in a row. The leader, Mills, is going to choose that lane for the jump right here. Going to bring the 5 of Joseph Klein along with him, and that is a perfect launch for the 2 of them. They're going to restart with 9 laps remaining. As everyone gets up to speed now, that outside line looks like it is going to vanish just as quickly as that green flag came out. And now it is a race to get up to the rear bumper of that 5 machine as that 2-car breakaway out front looks to defend the track position that they've gone for themselves. To the outside now goes Zachary Wake. The 76 is in the outside wall. A couple of rows back. Jackson West is going to get that corralled in yet again as we are extremely dicey through the tri-oval right here. 8 laps remaining. Down into turn number 1, and there we go. There's going to be the issue further back. Tanner Marr, namely, along with the 7 of Cody Gibson, the 76 of Jackson West. That's going to be another yellow as we get a number of drivers coming together here down into turn 1. And this actually starts a little bit further back. We're going to go ahead and zoom it out right here. So we have Tanner Marr shooting it 3 wide off of turn number 4 to the inside of Jackson West and to the outside of Sam Dyer in the 31. Coming through the tri-oval, no harm, no foul so far with the 3 of them running as they are. Let's get an aerial view right here as it looks like the 4 and the 76 are going to get close. Do they come together? They do finally come together, as the 4 drifts just a little bit up into that 76, and then it's just a pinball effect off of one car into another until eventually something gives, and the 4 is going to get the worst of it. The 7 of Cody Gibson, Tanner Marr's teammate, catching a piece of that, running a couple laps down at this point in the race. Jackson West does finally get turned at the very end right there. There's going to be some significant damage for the Ford. Actually, not as bad once it sort of reappears, but it looked like the 4 had to dive off of track and will be out of contention from that one. All right, take 1 driver out of the fold. 12 remaining on the lead lap with a shot, and look at this. Josh Kanata in the 16. Why not? Josh Kanata is going to come down, sole driver to come down on pit road. Might as well come down and take some brand new tires and see if that doesn't help. Josh Kanata was not running up inside of the top 6 before this pit stop. Not many cars remaining on the lead lap. See what you can't do with some more tires here. Gotta try something different at this point. May as well. Race lead at this point is going to be the 5 of Joseph Klein. Now, this is interesting. I would love to see how this built up. So, going back, let's go back and let's look at the fight for the race lead. This is the fight for the race lead as the caution begins to happen behind. Nolan Mills on the outside line doesn't have any help as the 5 is pushed ahead of the 1. And we're looking at that light on the right side of the wall. Is that going to turn yellow before we hit the corner? No. And I believe at this point the yellow is probably out. Joseph Klein ahead down into turn number 1 right there. That is how the race lead changed hands. No longer in control is Nolan Mills in the 1 now. It is in the hands of Joseph Klein in the 5, a driver looking for his first career win in the All-American Racing League. Second place in the same boat, Joshua O'Brien at the 24. Also looking to get it done for the very first time. This front row is a front row of hopefuls as we get ready to restart within 5 laps to go in tonight's event. If the intensity hadn't kicked up yet, buckle up. It is about to get so much heavier. Here's how it's going to stack up for the restart this time around. Inside row 1, that's your race leader. the bright yellow number 5 of Joseph Klein. He's got Joshua O'Brien at the 24 to his outside. Row 2 is going to be Nolan Mills in the 1, and Gabriel Ngoli in the 55. Row 3 will be Zachary Wake and Tilson Sandlin, making his first career start in the All-American Racing League. That's your first 3 rows as we get ready to get back into some green flag action. 13 drivers on the lead lap. 13 drivers in with a shot at victory. Of those 13, 10 are looking for their first career win. Will we see a first-time winner in the regular season finale? Just in time for the playoffs next week in Las Vegas. Let's find out. Lights are out on that pace car. It's about to take that sharp left-hand corner. And Joseph Klein in the 5 will take us to green for the 7th time this evening. Into the Echopark restart zone we go. Onto the loud pedal. The top 2 both get a fantastic restart at the green flag, and we are away. 4 laps remain, and down into turn 1 we go. Where are the runs going to come from? We're going to take a zoomed out approach as the 5 gets help from the 1 of Nolan Mills. Those 2 are going to be out in front. Here comes the run from O'Brien and Wake. And oh, we've got trouble further back. Sam Dyer in front of the field, spun around. More issues. Gabriel Ngoli in the 55 getting some heavy damage as well. And just like that, the yellow flag is out once again. Heavy damage to a couple of these race cars. Let's take a look down the back straightaway. How does this happen between these 2 drivers right here? Is this just a matter of making the move at the wrong time? The 45 is going to dive out of line, and looks like the 31, Sam Dyer went to follow the 45. Didn't realize that Gabriel Ngoli was still to his outside. Just a little target fixation right there. The 32 is going to get a piece of that. Dakota Moniz is going to get a big hit. Didn't see that the first time around. Dakota Moniz in that 0-5. Going to have some significant damage from that one. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at this one more time. And we're going to watch from onboard Sam Dyer. Yeah, split second, going about 180 miles an hour down the back straightaway. All it takes is a split second of trying to follow that guy when he makes the move before you can register that there is a car to your outside. And by that point, it is already too late. All right, well, there's 4 drivers with some significant damage. 4 of our first-time winner hopefuls down on pit road under this yellow. Free pass, it's going to go to the 50 of Sam Garcia to get 1 of his laps back on this go-around. There is no driver, only 1 lap down. Sam Garcia will be the closest to it at about 6, and I believe now 5 laps down. In control of the race, it's still Joseph Klein in the 5, with Nolan Mills in 2nd, Joshua O'Brien in 3rd, Zachary Wake, Alex Fuller. That's our top 5 as it sits. This will be the first official green-white checkered attempt out of 3 possible. What does that mean? When we take the green flag, these drivers will have 3 opportunities to take the green flag. The next one is the white flag, and that will determine the race being official. If the yellow flag comes out before the white flag, we try again. We get 3 attempts, and we will extend the race distance for each of those attempts to try and get the race to finish under green flag conditions. If we cannot do it, if the yellow flag comes out in that first lap all 3 times, the race will end under caution. Simple as. These drivers are going to be hoping that they have enough fuel packed in there for all 3 potential overtime restarts if needed. But this will be the first. So we double up. Lights are out on that pace car. Race leader Joseph Klein is going to elect to take that inside line. yet again to his outside. This time will be the one of Nolan Milnes. Row 2 is going to be those twin Camaros. It's going to be Joshua O'Brien and Zachary Wake. Row 3, Alex Fuller and Jackson West. Row 4, Josh Kanata on those new tires. And where did he come from? Rob Higgs Jr. Looking for a good run out here tonight as well. All right, as it currently sits, interesting development, as a matter of fact. 5 of the top 6 drivers are teammates. 5 of the top 6 drivers are teammates. I've just noticed. Everyone in those first 3 rows, with the exception of Jackson West. Klein, Milnes, O'Brien, Wake, and Fuller. Based on the Discord calls these drivers are racing in, those 5 are all in the same call. It'd be real interesting to see how this plays out amongst that group then. The pace car pulls off, and for the 8th time tonight, a green flag is ready. We are going racing yet again with our first attempt at overtime. 2 laps remaining. Joseph Klein hard on that loud pedal down into turn 1. Milnes isn't going to be able to fill the gap because O'Brien is there in the 24, all over the rear bumper of the 5, but Zachary Wake pushes the 1 down the back straightaway. Now it's going to be 3v3. Where does Jackson West go in the 76? He might just wait it out. Through turns 3 and 4 we go. Which line is going to have the advantage? Does anyone make it 3? Josh Kanata to the outside to make it 3 all by himself. White flag is out. Down into turn number 1. Klein on the inside. Milnes on the outside. Through turns 2 and on to the back straightaway. Where does the push come from? Klein on the bottom, stays on the bottom. Milnes on the outside is going to pull alongside with the side draft with help from the 39, but the 1 gets sideways with a bad push. The 5 gets sideways, and here we go out of turn 4. Oh my goodness, 4 wide, and here comes to the line Josh Kanata, I think, maybe Zachary Wake. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I think 3 drivers just died at the finish. Zachary Wake wins this race, and we will need a better angle because that angle at the finish was not where it's at. Let's take another look at this mayhem. Coming out of turn number 4, the 1 gets a push sideways right there. Zachary Wake goes to the outside because of that. The 5 is going to get sideways down onto the apron right here and then get a push from the 24. The 45 is diving down onto the apron. And at this point, we are 4 wide off of turn number 4. The 5 is sideways out of the lead. He comes across the 24 and the 45, and all of a sudden Zachary Wake, the seas have parted, but oh no, gets hit by the 1 of Milnes coming to the line. Kanata sees it, but can't get there in time, and sideways, pointed towards the fence. Your winner is gonna sweep the drafting races in the regular season. Zachary Wake has gotten it done yet again in that 39 machine, somehow, some way, ahead of Nolan Milnes and Josh Kanata, our top 3. How is that for a finish? My oh my. All right, let's see if we can't get a word with some of our top finishers as we move these guys on up here. I tell you what, why don't we start with our 3rd place finisher, Josh Kanata in the 16. Josh, I tell you what, on my initial call at the end, based on the camera angle I had, I thought you were going to win that race. Walk me through that final lap and just like how all of that played out, because that was one of the craziest finishes.
Hey, your guess is as good as mine. I had a feeling with the mix of worn tires and, racing for the win that someone somewhere was going to get a bad bump, probably in 3 and 4, and I was just hoping to survive it. And the seas parted. We just didn't quite have enough time, but I'll take a P3 after all that.
Absolutely. I tell you what, that was a pretty chaotic race, especially towards the end. It felt like there were so few drivers left standing. But I tell you what, with that, the regular season is over, 14 races done, and now we can officially turn our attention to the playoffs. That first round starts with Las Vegas in 1 week's time. How are you feeling about Vegas? How are you feeling about the playoffs as a whole now that you can shift your attention towards that?
I'm excited. I got a pretty good feeling about it. There's definitely a few, maybe not in the first round. I think the second round is when the schedule gets really, really interesting. But hoping to just take some of this momentum into the first round and build from there. Vegas is usually a pretty decent track for me, so hopefully we can, finish a couple spots higher then.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, a third place run here in Atlanta is a great way to enter the playoffs. Before we let you go, we'll open up the floor to give any hays and highs.
Yeah, first off, thank you for putting this on. Thank you everyone who's watching. Can't do this without you guys. Everybody who runs the league, it's a ton of fun, and hopefully I'll see you next week a couple steps higher on the podium.
All right, hopefully so. Congrats again, Josh. And thank you for the kind words. That brings us to our second place finisher. We've got Nolan Mills, runner-up in tonight's event. I tell you what, that was that was quite the finish. I would I would say 4 wide at one point, sideways, with just about everyone coming to the line. What more did you need there, Nolan, in that final run to be able to pull it off? Because I think for a good chunk of stage 3 there, you were the driver who was kind of setting the tone.
Arie, it didn't matter if I doored him. It didn't matter if I started in front of him. Zachary Wake is just the king of super speedways. He won at Daytona in the first race of the year, and I don't know. He's just got a lucky horseshoe up his butt or something. But no, it was awesome. We were all just kind of having fun tonight. The front was the safest place on the track, it seemed like, and yeah, at one point I thought I regretted choosing the top when I could have chose the bottom, and then or something like that. But anyway, I ended up going. You know what it was? It was on a restart. I went high, and Joseph went low, and he kind of controlled the last 10 laps there. I thought maybe that would have been a better position for me. I think I maybe could have done a little better for myself had I done that. But other than that, I mean, I'm not upset. I just feel a little bad for Joseph, who he definitely wanted to get his first win. So
Yeah, there was a number of drivers going for their first win in that final run. I think that definitely added to the chaos there and make it the regular season finale at that. You got a recipe for something. But I tell you what, we're getting ready to head into the playoffs with tonight's race done, 14 races done. We've got Las Vegas in 1 week's time. That one car, it took you a while, but you did get into victory lane, and ever since then, it feels like that one car has sort of been just in a completely different spot on track. You broke through, and now that it feels like you've kind of gotten over that bad luck for the most part, and you're able to be up there and contend week in and week out. So how do you feel about your hopes for a championship this season, and particularly about Las Vegas for the first race next week?
yeah, it does feel that way. I just feel like once I got that under my belt, I was just hitting my stride. I think I could have done it a few weeks earlier, but I had a really bad luck string of races to start the season, honestly, where I was in the top 5 and something dumb happened. But just finding my pace. I feel really good about Vegas. It's another 1.5 miles. I think that's my best track type. I wasn't so good at Texas. I finished 6th, but I started from the back and had all sorts of issues. But I do think I can show up and do pretty well there. And I feel good about the rest of the season. There's certain tracks I'm not so good at, but Vegas is definitely top of the list, I think, for ones that I think I can compete at.
All right, that's what we like to hear. Well, I tell you what, congrats on the runner-up finish all the same out here tonight. And before we let you go, we'll open up the floor to give it any hays and highs you might have.
Just a shout out to you for doing the broadcast. You're top notch. I always enjoy rewatching it, and thank you for that. And shout out to Zach for getting that Speedway win number 2. Speedway Merchant, Zach Wake.
All right, there we have it. There is our runner-up finisher, Nolan Mills, in tonight's race. And that brings us to the one and only the Super Speedway Merchant, as so lovingly dubbed by teammates. Zachary Wake, you have done it again, my friend, in the craziest fashion. 4 wide out of the final corner, cars going sideways. You were 90 degrees across the start-finish line. Walk me through that chaotic ending and your race as a whole.
Well, I expected us to wreck coming out of 4. Got really just got lucky and was able to shoot the gap right there, and then somehow held on to it to get to the line first. Yeah, it was wild. I did good though. My strategy was to get to the front early and just stay in front of all the wrecks, and I was able to do that all night. So that's what put me in the position to be able to be there at the end. And I just Daytona, if you remember, came across 35 sideways, and I just didn't feel like that was enough. I wanted a full 90 for this one.
Wanted a full 90 degrees for this one. You know what? That might be the most interesting answer I've gotten. I tell you what, you're about to enter the playoffs as the one of only 2 drivers to have won multiple races in the regular season, if you could believe that, given how competitive it has been this season. You enter the playoffs with 2 wins, and we're going to Vegas for the first round of said playoffs in 1 week's time. I got 2 questions. How do you feel about a track like Las Vegas to start off the playoffs, and how do you feel about your chances to make a deep run and potentially have a shot at winning the championship in this first season?
Yeah, I love Vegas. I won't be the fastest guy there, but anything can happen, like we just saw. Vegas is a little bit more, I would say, calmer than Atlanta, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, congrats on the big win out here tonight. Win number 2 on the season. Before we let you go celebrate, we'll open up the floor to give any hays and highs to people you might have watching at home.
Yep. Just the team. We had the top 5 locked out right there. Coming to the white flag. They've been helpful for me. Getting better. And just a good group of guys. I like racing with them week in and week out. Definitely got for watching kids, and that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, I tell you what, congrats again, Zach, and we'll hope to talk to you again in 1 week's time. That is our race winner for tonight's event. Zachary Wake in the 39 gets it done for the second time this season, for the second time in his career here in the All-American Racing League. Why don't we take a look at that finish one more time, coming through turns 3 and 4 from the blimp view in real time from the perspective of the 39 as everyone is going every which way. The C's part, and then he's a part of it, but just in time to finish first, 90 degrees across the line, and get the job done. Zachary Wake, the one who does it. And with that, we can take a look at our final finishing results for tonight's event as we get ready to turn our attention to Las Vegas in 1 week's time. Let's go over how it all ended here in Echopark. Top of the board, it's Zachary Wake in the 39. P2 goes to Nolan Milnes. Rounding out the podium is Josh Kanata in the 16. 4th place goes to the Scooby-Doo Machine, Alex Fuller. Rounding out the top 5 is going to be Rob Higgs. 6th place goes to Jackson West, ahead of Nicholas Sasek in 7th. Joseph Klein finishes in 8th. Joshua O'Brien in 9th. Tilson Sandlin in 10th. 11th place goes to Kono Moniz. 12th, Sam Dyer. 13th, Gabriel Ngoli. 14th goes to Samuel Garcia. 15th, Tanner Marr. 16th, Larry Bell. 17th, Jamie Walker. 18th, Cody Gibson. 19th, Matthew Pavlik. And rounding out the top 20, Caleb West. Final 3 is going to be Ron Hollifield in 21st, Brian Troy in 22nd, and Ryan Rose, shotgun on the field after getting involved in that first incident. Excuse me. Whew. All right. 1 week's time is when the playoffs begin here in the inaugural season of the All-American Racing League. We look forward to seeing you there at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. First race in the first round for our playoff drivers to test their mettle on. Don't forget to drop a like on the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network to make sure you never miss a minute of the racing action. And we will see you right here at the same time in 1 week's time for the playoffs.